Welcome everyone to the Inspiring Ohana series. Today I am excited to talk with Nikhil. And when we say JavaScript, LWC, then we all know we have Salesforce group and we have Nikhil as a JavaScript expert, LWC expert. Welcome Nikhil to the Inspiring Ohana series. Thank you very much for
Thanks.
joining.
Thank you.
Okay, so Nikhil, please share some more details about you first.
Yeah, so as you already introduced me, like I'm Nikhil Karkra. I'm from Australia, Melbourne, basically, and I'm a JavaScript full stack developer. I am also a LWC specialist, and my primary skill is JavaScript. I love to play around with the digital products, like how you can enhance the user experience in the particular product. So where I come into picture, like in the big projects, I only take care of the user experience. And apart from that, I love to watch movies, always Bollywood movies as well as the Netflix series. Nowadays, in lockdown especially, I got a more interest towards Netflix, and I too much inclined towards the technical, latest technological skills. Like if any new framework comes into the market, I love to explore. Before it's go to the release, I just explore it in the beta version. That's what I am all about.
Thank you. So you are already a JavaScript expert, full stack developer, and last year you started your journey in Salesforce ecosystem. Can you please share some more details about that journey?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I was not aware of Salesforce before last year. And then there was a project going on in which they were looking for a guy who can introduce the data visualization, like with the heavy data, you can play around with the charts. And those charts were not inbuilt by the Salesforce. So they were looking for a person who can introduce external charting library into the Salesforce. And that time I come into the picture because I was having great expertise in charting libraries. So that time I started my career. Yeah, for initially it was pretty new to me, and I was not able to play around with the tool easily. Then I started playing with the Trailhead to understand how the things and what all the things I have to look into. And that time we were playing with the Aura, and Aura is also a framework. If you know a JavaScript, you can master any framework basically, because framework is built on the particular programming language, and in JavaScript almost 10-20 frameworks already available. So Aura was, but the Aura framework was proprietary to Salesforce basically. So you need to understand their syntax totally with respect to Salesforce. And that time I started thinking like, how should I approach now? So I gone to the documentation of Aura and I start relating it with the JavaScript. Okay, if I have to update this variable, how I'll do it in Aura. If I have to set the data, how I'll do it in Aura. If I have to fetch the data, how I'll do in Aura. So that time I realized like I'm writing too much code, because I came from the frameworks like React.js and Vue.js. That was like pretty famous framework by Facebook and Google. So I was thinking like how I can minimize my code and the effort. And that time I heard like, okay, LWC has come into the picture, and LWC is built on the latest web standards that all browsers needs, that all browsers follow actually. And then I start exploring it, and that time LWC was very very new actually. And I just compare my React.js with LWC, and it was almost similar. The only the naming convention was different actually. Like if I call it a component did mount, there it was a connected callback. That sort of difference only, and the behind the scene everything was similar. And then I realized, okay, I can do it now. It's pretty simple now. And because in Aura you have to do 3 line of code to achieve one variable data to another variable, and but in LWC you need only one line, right? So there I got more interest. Okay, LWC you can do. Then because LWC is also an engine or a framework built by Salesforce, but the best part what they did is they just take out majority of the things from the framework and given to the browser. So majority of the task or the heavy lifting is taken by the browser, and if something runs in the browser, it automatically runs fast. If it's running fast, your performance is good, your rendering is good, everything is good, right? And only the Salesforce taken the part wherever you have to connect with Salesforce. So that is because of their security reasons, right? So if you know little bit of JavaScript, you can master the LWC easily. You just need to understand what all things you need to study in JavaScript. You don't need to study the whole JavaScript for LWC. That's the myth actually that people always say, okay, I'll do the master in JavaScript and I'll be the master in LWC. That's wrong, because framework is built on a language, and framework is introduced to minimize your effort, to reduce the code and everything. So framework always have their naming convention, their syntax, so that you don't need to write the whole JavaScript again and again. So yeah, that's all about LWC and how you can learn little bit.
Yeah, so great message for someone who is very new to Salesforce, and I can say they are full stack developer and they are looking to explore more. Then they should learn Lightning Web Component. Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much, Nikhil, for sharing. And if you say how to learn JavaScript, how to learn Lightning Web Component, you also have a very good YouTube channel and blog. And also in this series, lots of your mentees mentioned recently how they are learning with those resources. Can you please share some more details about those resources?
Yes, in JavaScript, actually, the best part is you don't need even the editor to write. You just write your code in the browser itself. Like you open the console and you can start writing. And you should always start with any programming. It's not about JavaScript, but all programming, you should start with the basic fundamentals, like how to declare the variable, how to write the loop, how to create the data types like array or an object. And in JavaScript, everything is an object actually. Behind the scene, JavaScript only understand as an object. There is no array concept, nothing. It looks like an array. But you should start with basics like how to create a variable, how to declare an array, or how to assign a data. Once you are good with that, then don't jump directly to the advanced topic. I'll go and connect the data from Facebook or Google or something. Build a small app like calculator app or a billing calculator. In that, you just use whatever you have learned. Now you master that particular piece, then move on to another step. Then the another step comes, because in maximum company or maximum product needs you to connect with the database or to fetch the data from the server. So to do that, then you go for a asynchronous JavaScript. There your promise concept starts comes into the picture, and then you can use a free APIs like GitHub profile data. You can fetch it. Whether APIs are free in the market, you can try that to fetch the data. So you have now two projects, right? So then you go, you know how to fetch the data, you know how to create the basic JavaScript code and basic calculation. Then you go for the resume application sort of. Then you know, okay, I have built two application. Now I have to build my resume in which you know how to embed the links. I can on click of my LinkedIn link, my resume should navigate to the LinkedIn. I can embed my photos. Okay, so these 3 or 4 projects, that small projects you build, that builds you the gives you the confidence to build the bigger application. But many people see, okay, in the LinkedIn or any other social media, people start sharing, okay, I have built Amazon clone or a Netflix clone. But everybody see that post and get excited, but nobody knows how much month or how much year he spent to learn that. And as a fresher will come and will say, okay, we'll build this, and we struggle a lot and we'll land up nowhere, right? So you have to start with the small projects, and slowly you will build the bigger project. And for JavaScript, the best tutorials are like MD and Mozilla Developer Network. That's the Bible of JavaScript, I would say. You can get everything, each and everything, along with small projects they have. Then you can look into javascript.info. There is a good website they recently launched. I don't know how many people are using, but that's also good. And my personal favorite, but not many people recommend, that is W3 School. But that I personally feel it's a very handy website to run your code immediately, to see the syntax immediately. Because if in the real time project I need to understand, okay, how I'll filter the data, and I don't know the syntax, I'll not go to the MD and I'll read the theory of one page and figure out, okay, what's the syntax, what's behind the scene. So, right, so in real time you should know the method names. Actually, I need to do the filtering. Okay, in JavaScript, filter is a by default method or not. You don't need to remember the syntax altogether, because syntax you can figure out, but you should know how to approach the problem. That's all how you can approach to the JavaScript development.
So we love hearing your experience with Trailhead learning. As you mentioned, last year you started exploring LWC on Trailhead initially. So please share some experience so that members can go and explore Trailhead modules.
Yeah, because if anybody coming from outside Salesforce background, he need to understand first, you are building an app for what? And we are building an application that runs in the Salesforce. Now, anyhow, they've come up with the Lightning open source. You can run outside the Salesforce as well. But the time I started, that time there was only one option. I have to build an application that runs in the Salesforce. And to understand that, there is only one platform, that is Trailhead, that gives you a very quick overview. Okay, this is the tool. These are the apps by default, how you create the app, how you create the applications. And then to start understanding where I'll fit in that particular ecosystem where the JavaScript comes into picture, then I started the LWC module is there. In that, they will explain you how you will connect your code that is running in the VS Code, that is your editor, and connecting that code to your Salesforce, how you can push that code to the Salesforce, how you can drag that particular component that you have built to the page. That journey will explain you how you connect the things, connect the dots from building to deployment, and deployment to playing around with it. Because component is the smallest unit of building block, right? So you need to build the chunks, and that all together build the big app. So in the Trailhead, just start with that, because if I talk about at very big level, to become the mastery, you have to go on through many stages. UI is not all about changing the colors in the button. Okay, there is so many things actually. Like if you want to talk about mastery, there are accessibility, those who are physically challenged people. And if you have to build a lightning web component so that a color blind person or a person who is completely blind can able to access it, you should know how to write the accessible friendly components. Apart from that, you should know how to test your component. I haven't seen many people write the testing for front end. No doubt in Apex there is recommendation or like preferences you have to write, but in LWC also you should write. In small run you will not see the benefit, but you will realize when you deploy your component and after 1 month it breaks. That time, if you would have done the testing in advance, you would save a lot of money for the client, as well as your component is pretty robust. And when we build the component, you should know how I can reuse this component. It's not like I'm building again same pieces, and again I'm writing the testing, and again my tester are testing the same component at different places. Your component should be single, and it should be capable enough to be scalable, so that in future you don't need to touch again and again the same component. You can enhance only, you can't touch and revamp everything again and again. So these things are, you will learn once you know the basic of LWC, then you will move toward the mastery.
Yeah, lots of learning, especially for someone who is looking to start digital learning. Well, so you are going to, I can say, like complete next 2 years very soon in our Salesforce ecosystem. So please share some experience, how welcoming you are feeling, and yes, your journey some in more details, please.
Yes, initially I was like felt very alone, because if I asked someone, nobody was replying like how I can approach it. So there was my mentor, Francisco. So he told me like, just start building something. Okay, and I was because I was from the front end side, and I always learned by building something, and I should able to visualize it at least. And when I was learning LWC, and the problem for me is I have to every time push the code to Salesforce. I need to look into and wait for it. I need to drag it. Then I build an application in LWC open source so that people can understand the problem that I am facing generally. There was not much learning material. There were the documentation, but documentation was very vast. They were covering each and everything. And if somebody wants to learn it, so I build an application, Salesforce Lightning Web. Very rare people know I built that. And in that application, you can play around with the component outside Salesforce. So you can change your name dynamically, you can see how models are coming. And I built that on the LWC only. So that time I got the interest, and then I talked to some of the people in the community, and they said, yeah, this is pretty good. But people were still in the mindset like whether LWC will run outside the Salesforce going forward or not. And but I was pretty sure, okay, because the learning is same. Whichever I'm learning outside Salesforce for LWC, that same concept, same logic gonna work inside the Salesforce. The only difference is the deployment procedure. Rest everything is same. So that's why Salesforce is also recommending nowadays, if you learn Sales LWC, you can build any application outside Salesforce as well as inside the Salesforce. So this is like, then people start recognizing me. Okay, in US, some people ask me, okay, this is the problem, how we can tackle this, how we can approach this. And then watching the codes of the different blogs, and I was from the background where, like, if the website loads more than it taking more than 3 seconds, they discard the website. So I started looking into the performances, how, why we are using for loop every time, why not I'm using a filter here. Then I start looking into the performance of the code in LWC, and started commenting in the blogs. And maybe some people were thinking I'm arrogant, but I was just letting them know, okay, there are the better ways to achieve this. Then I built Salesforce group. I started teaching Salesforce, this LWC on Salesforce group. Then people start following me, and the people start asking me the help, and I start love to like um, answering their questions, actually whatever they are asking me, and I start solving the question. And many time I take them onto the Zoom call or on the WhatsApp call. Okay, this is how we can approach that. And many people real time problems they were facing with regarding the LWC and all, I did that. And then I realized it's the right time to start a channel where, at least instead of I'm personally teaching everyone, like each and every query, at least people can watch the video. If they still have the query, we'll connect it later on. Then I launched Salesforce group, and it was pretty overwhelming, like people asking and they appreciating the effort, because I was teaching from the point of view as a layman. If somebody don't know anything, and how I can try to teach, like people said, if you able to teach to a layman, that means you know something. Otherwise your knowledge is of no use if you can't teach someone coding that who don't have coding background. So I started that, and then I started looking into the blogs, and there was not a single blog that was properly arranged. Actually, there were many good blogs, no doubt their content is good, but those are not structured. Like if somebody has to start, you should have a structure. Okay, you should go with the first this blog, then second this blog, and third blog. Then I launched my salesforcetroop.com, in which I thought, okay, I'll go with the step by step blogging. And in that, the people should start the LWC first. He should know how to install it, what is the benefit, why I'm learning it, what's the how I'm going to impact the Salesforce community with this knowledge. And this is how. And then Salesforce JavaScript certification come into the picture. And the day they announced, and next day I gave the exam, and I was a bit worried whether I'll be able to clear it or not. And I gave it, and I cleared it. And that time, like Amit messaged me, like, will you able to conduct some session for SFTC Panther? I said yes, why not? Like, anyhow, not much people knows me in community. Let's do it. And after that, the game totally gone change, and many people start asking me, okay, how we can approach it, how we can clear the exam, how we can learn this particular topic and all. And side by side, I was, whatever the topic people asking in different blogs and all, or different problems they have on the WhatsApp group or Telegram group, I start picking that particular problem and start building that solution for that problem. So I'm not building the blogs or the videos on a particular sequence, but I'm picking the problem that the people have in the community, and I'm trying to solve that. So this is how it all goes. And nowadays, like, it's better I'm giving the talks that giving me the confidence as well, and I'm pretty happy, like I'm able to contribute something to the so big community and so good community in the Salesforce.
Yes, love listening this. Thank you very much for mentioning all these things. You mentioned about the Lightning Web Component open source. Means if someone is looking to develop and deploy something outside of Salesforce, then we also have Lightning Web Component open source. And as you mentioned, like how you are helping people via channels, via personal call. Recently, I also got to know from various participants of this inspiring one series. They were sharing their experience, how they texted you at 3 a.m., someone 4 a.m., and you were able to connect with them. Can you please share some motivation? Because you have some different time zone. How you manage?
I always feel excited if I see the problem, because in my starting of my career, I was in a team that was specialized to save the project from the escalations. So we introduce into the project, we never start the project. We always introduce into the project when the project is in very bad situation. So I was a part of that team, and I was very much specialized to solve the problem in the deadlines. And that time, we know how to manage it. We know where maybe the problem lies. So the people start asking me, and whenever I have a time, if my laptop is open, I just say, okay, let's connect it, because sometimes somebody share the code and I'm not able to understand it. And sometimes in JavaScript, the biggest thing is you can debug it very easily. If you know the debugging, your 50% JavaScript is done. So if I able to ask them, okay, can you able to share the screen, and they said they get also excited, okay, because they are facing the problem, and I'm excited, okay, let's figure it out, why is this happening, and then I try to solve it. I got many calls actually, like they are not forcing me to call, but I personally call them, okay, I told them like, you can call me, we can connect on the Zoom, we can connect on the WhatsApp, whichever way is better for you, because sometimes people are in very bad state and nobody is ready to answer them, or nobody in the mood to help them. And that time they message me like, we are in the very bad situation where the project may be stuck or something happened, and maybe some, like, they have the demo and some POCs or something, client meeting or something, can we do this? And then we have to think of the different approaches, like in the short time what way you can follow, so that at least you can survive that phase. So I helped a couple of people in that, and the people are very helpful as well. It's not like the people are arrogant in the community. They also appreciate my effort, and I also love to help them.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for whatever you are doing. Really inspiration for many more people, of course. And we know you are mentor of many people in our community, especially we talk for JavaScript and LWC. Who all are your mentors? I know many mentors we have. Can you please feel free to share some names if you prefer?
Right now, I see in JavaScript community there was a Kushal Jain. There was a guy from India. He encouraged me to stick to JavaScript because I was inclined little bit towards Java or other domain. So he in 2015 he told me, 2015, yeah, he told me like, don't move from JavaScript. This gonna be the game changer going forward, and that luckily become the same the game changer in the future. So I stick to that, and he always helped me whenever I stuck in my early days. But when I come to the Salesforce, there was a Francisco guy. He's a CTO of Capgemini Spain, and he was my mentor from last 2 years. He always encouraging me, because he used to tell me like, people are doing work, that's good. Everybody has the job because everybody is paying off, but the effort that you put to learn something, that gives you the more happiness over your salary. And you should always be in the initial stage of the learning, like something released, learn it, because once it's common, nobody care about it, because once it's available on Google, everybody knows about it and everybody can write the code by copy pasting it. So he always used to say, okay, whenever like Salesforce release something, build it. If you are not understanding, talk to me, we'll discuss. Or we in our company there are many people, those who are ready to help. Okay, let's figure out, like in winter 21 or 20, whatever the latest feature comes, let's explore it. Anyhow, Trailhead always release something, and Salesforce also have the release notes. But it's better if you pick it up initially, because as soon as you move forward, you know, okay, this feature is now available, I don't need to spend more time to figure it out, because every time there is an enhancement only, right? Sometime, because recently I was looking a video, like people are very much struggling with the PDF generation in LWC, and I thought, okay, I'll build something. And yesterday only I saw a talk in the Trailhead only, they release a project called e-cars, and in that he said, instead of building the PDF generation inside the Salesforce, what he did, he built a PDF tool inside the Node.js. He deployed that Node.js into the what we call Heroku, and he said, when you have the power to build the LWC apps or the JavaScript app outside the Salesforce, and you can integrate with the Salesforce, you can use that instead of doing all heavy intensive job inside the LWC component. And now he's using the external API of PDF, and you can able to generate that. So I'm thinking to achieve the same thing now. But yeah, you have to learn every time from your mentors, or wherever you see a guy who is doing good work. Actually, you should not think like he's a junior or he is a senior. You should know like what he's contributing and how you can learn from him. Because if you see the Gaurav Khatrawal, I'm a big fan of that guy. He always he attended my session, and I was not known like he's a CT or he's a big name in the community, and I was like, okay, he's for me another friend of mine, I would say, or a person who is in the community. And then suddenly he joined my JavaScript session and he asked few questions, maybe, I guess. And later on, the people said, you know that Gaurav joined your talk? And I said, who is Gaurav? And I was not aware of that. And then he said, no, he's a big person. And then I saw his video on Plural site, like he used to give the lectures on e-commerce or other stuff. And then I said, okay. Then I realized he is so down to earth, like he's ready to communicate with whether a person is teaching something. He's always eager to learn, actually, whether you are a big or a small, whatever, if you are teaching perfectly or you are delivering the good content, he's always eager to learn. And that's what I think personally, we should always be eager to learn. It's not about certification, it's all about the learning, right? How good, how well you can understand the person is trying to explain. If you not, just ask. There is no harm in asking. And if somebody asks me and if I don't know the answer, there is nothing bad in saying I don't know, I'll get back to you. There is nothing bad, instead of giving the vague answers like, okay, this is should be this way, not that way, and all. It's always, you should be humble at the end, actually. There are
And
many
yes,
mentors.
yeah, you mentioned very. I remember when Gaurav sir cleared this JavaScript exam, he shared and he also mentioned about your video series and your session. So this is our
Yeah.
Ohana love.
Yes, it was pretty
Okay.
much.
Yes, and so yeah, please share some more details about this, certification. I can say if someone is looking for prepare for this certification, any message you want to give them?
Yes, actually, there is some confusion in the community. I would say those who are not from the JavaScript, there is a confusion like whether the certification is a LWC exam or not. So it's not an LWC exam basically. So to earn the certification, there are two steps. First, you need to clear the Lightning Web Component Super Batch. Along with that, you need to clear a JavaScript exam. That's totally a JavaScript exam. There will be no question related to your Java LWC testing. There will be no question related to LWC. It's completely an independent JavaScript exam. And many people ask me like whether that exam, that JavaScript exam, help us to become the master in the LWC. See, that JavaScript exam is an independent JavaScript. So they are teaching you each and everything. There are many things you may not use in real time of your project now, because those are the old thing, but that's good for your base or good for your initial learning. And that exam cover end to end, I would say the exam guide cover end to end of JavaScript. Actually, there are no doubt many things that are advanced, but maybe that comes in the JavaScript developer 2 certification. I don't know, right now it's JavaScript developer 1 certification. And to go with that, like if you're pretty new and you don't know LWC, my suggestion will be first prepare for JavaScript certification exam, that is proctored exam. Once clear that, then come to LWC, because then you will realize LWC is like very easy for you, because you already know how things works behind the scene of LWC. So that's what I can say. Like all, you can approach first JavaScript exam if you are new. If you are not new, then complete your super batch first and then go for the JavaScript exam. And that exam will teach you end to end mostly.
So thank you very much for sharing. And I'm also happy, you have covered a very important point. Recently, we have a new app, eCar, for sample app. And you also mentioned how we can deploy external application on Heroku and we can use those APIs as well. So, well, I think lots of learning in our discussion, of course. So let's summarize our discussion. Please share some final message on summarize for someone who is new to our ecosystem. They are looking to start their career with us. Any
Yeah.
tips?
So if you are pretty new, then no doubt Salesforce going to be a big name going forward. Anyhow, it's currently also a very big name, but it's a game changer. Those who just want to change their career, that's the right domain. I would say the Salesforce. If you are from mechanical, civil, or any other domain, and if you don't know, and if you don't know the coding as well, like you can come and play with the Salesforce, because it's like 50% or 60% you easily do everything with the point and click. That's the beauty of Salesforce. And it's a cloud, so cloud is the upcoming future, or it's already started that future, that sales this cloud thing. So other thing, like learn as much as you can, always be eager to learn. Okay, and don't feel bad if somebody is learning more or somebody is building something, because you don't know the effort behind that. Always start or simplify your journey. always think of the approach, don't think of the outcome. Your approach should be very clear, whether I want to learn the LWC. To learn the LWC, go with the approach, not directly start building the application. You should know how the setup works, why I'm writing this, not that. You should know the difference between the different terminologies. Like some people say do use for each. There are 8 types of loop in JavaScript, but you should know when to use which one. It should not like if it worked this time, it will work other time as well. You should try to think, okay, what approach is better for my code. So the approach is one of the important thing in any programming. Like if you are looking into the solving is no doubt a big thing, but if your approach is not correct, your solving will take a lot of time. So always be good with the problem statement and think of how I can approach it. Note it down, discuss with your mentors or your friends, is it the right way? Because in Salesforce, I did sometime, I built some app and then I realized, no, this should be in the other way. It's better. I would have done that in the sketch or in the pencil first. I draw that design or schema instead of deleting it, creating it again and again. So always write the things, whatever in your mind in the notebook and then start doing it. Because when you start writing in the notebook, then you get so many ideas. Okay, whether this is the right approach or not, whether I can go in other way or not. So approach is everything in programming, and always eager to learn, explore new technologies. Always, I'm not saying stick to Salesforce, but in Salesforce also you have many things. You have Einstein, you have Flow, you have builders, or many things like a Tableau. They have introduced community builder. So you learn each and everything, and wherever you feel you are good, stick to that. Do the mastering that. Don't go for everything. As personally, I just do the UI work in Salesforce, and somehow I'm surviving. But I feel you should be mastering at least one thing in the Salesforce ecosystem. Then you can explore slowly the other thing that will help you to your career. Yeah, that's it. That's my
I
suggestion.
love that. I love that point. Don't compare with someone. Everyone has own potential. Everyone has own path, and everyone is doing something, and
Yes.
they start doing yourself too. Oh, yeah, Nikhil. So I'm really feeling privileged talking with you and more about Lightning Web Component, JavaScript. JavaScript. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. Thanks to
Bye bye.
you.
Take care. Stay safe.
Cheers. Bye bye.